Max Verstappen hasn't talked to anyone about his dad's latest angry words against Red Bull's new bosses. That quiet behavior is really loud. People who work at the Red Bull factory say that his silence has made the bosses have emergency meetings that could change everything for the 2026 championship fight. While everyone is focused on Christian leaving, they're missing the real story. Red Bull isn't just losing a team leader, they're falling apart completely, which makes their 2026 championship dreams almost impossible. The proof is piling up, and Max's growing interest in other racing chances shows he sees what's coming. Let's start with what's happening behind closed doors at Milton Keynes. Reports from Sky Sports say Red Bull is working without their really important staff. The main group of engineers and smart people who built their winning streak, Adrian Newey leaving was just the loss everyone could see. People who work in the racing world say that many key workers have either left or are thinking about their choices. But here's what makes this really bad. Red Bull's ongoing fights with the FIA have gotten worse without her smooth talking. As many sources report, the team's friendship with Formula One's rule-making group has become more and more tense. Technical fights and rule explanations are creating more pressure on a team that's already stretched thin. The new management setup brings its own problems. The Austrian board's stronger control has brought new shareholders into the mix, each with their own vision for the team's future. This company restructuring has created layers of red tape that didn't exist under her more independent leadership style. And then there's the Max situation. The first stop and switch rumors are stronger than ever. But it's not just about performance, it's about being stable. People close to the driver say that becoming a father has completely changed what he cares about. He's now looking for a stable team rather than trying to fix Red Bull's mess. You might think Laurent Mekies can make this situation stable. After all, he's got experience, he knows the sport, and Red Bull has the money to rebuild, but the facts tell a different story. Managing a top team like Red Bull is completely different from running a middle-level operation. The pressure to deliver quick results while watching over long-term 2026 development creates an almost impossible balancing act. Even experienced team leaders struggle with this change. But there's more to this story. Jos Verstappen's increased pressure on the new team leader has created an uncomfortable situation that threatens to make the entire organization unstable. According to sources, Jos has been making demands about team direction and driver support that go far beyond a typical driver's father involvement. Max's silence around his father's nonstop pressure speaks volumes about his mental state. This isn't just about racing anymore, it's about family drama playing out in the most high-pressure environment in motorsport. Here's what the evidence shows. Red Bull desperately needs a new real driver to help Max as a teammate, but they can't attract top talent in their current state. The current lineup has proven not good enough for a championship fight. And with Max possibly looking elsewhere, Red Bull faces the impossible task of rebuilding their driver's strategy while their star considers his options. The most telling part comes when you look at the timing. Multiple sources suggest possible resignations are about to happen from her loyal team, especially if he gets a contract with another team. These departures would further gut Red Bull's working capacity at the worst possible moment, just as they need to develop their first-ever power unit for 2026. This becomes clear when you examine Red Bull's technical position. They're basically starting from scratch on engine development. While Mercedes, Ferrari, and even McLaren have stable partnerships with years of development data, it's a huge undertaking that typically requires 4 to 5 years of preparation, and they're attempting it during organizational chaos. But the most significant finding is Max's expanding interests. People close to the driver reveal his growing interest in other racing opportunities. This isn't just about exploring options. It's about a fundamental shift in priorities that could define his career path. The implications of this organizational collapse extend far beyond 2025. Red Bull's 2026 championship hopes are effectively over before they begin. The combination of leadership, chaos, technical exodus, and engine development challenges creates an impossible deficit against more stable competitors. For Max Verstappen, the stakes couldn't be higher. At 27 with a young family, he's entering what should be his best championship years. The evidence points to a driver who's realized that loyalty to Red Bull could cost him multiple titles. His silence around his father's pressure suggests he's already mentally preparing for a move. The pattern suggests that Red Bull's golden age is ending not with championship glory, but with organizational dysfunction. The team that once dominated F1 through superior strategy and technical innovation is now fighting internal battles that prevent them from competing at the highest level. What happened next is telling. Sources report that Max has been notably absent from team meetings where his input would typically be crucial. This disengagement from Red Bull's development process suggests he's already mentally checked out. George Russell's informal talks with Red Bull aren't just about securing a backup plan. They're part of a calculated strategy that exposes the fragility of Red Bull's position. With Toto Wolff's enhanced pursuit of Max Verstappen intensifying, potential availability creates a fascinating domino effect. The reality is harsh. F1 is highly dependent on the car, and Red Bull's current trajectory suggests they'll be fighting for podiums rather than championships in 2026. For a driver of Verstappen's caliber, this represents an unacceptable compromise. While Russell stated he wouldn't have problems with Verstappen as a teammate, and while Kimi Antonelli seems like the more obvious choice for Mercedes' future, the strategic reality suggests a different approach. F1 Today's recommendation: Toto should prioritize both Russell and Verstappen for 2026. Here's why this pairing makes more sense than any alternative. Russell and Verstappen represent a higher performance ceiling than McLaren's Norris-Piastri combination. With Mercedes' 2026 car development, this partnership could dominate the new regulation era. Unlike Antonelli, who needs development time, both Russell and Verstappen can extract maximum performance from day one. The 2026 regulation changes demand experienced drivers who can adapt quickly to completely new machinery. Antonelli has years ahead of him, but Mercedes' 2026 window might be their best shot at returning to championship contention. Wasting this opportunity on driver development would be strategically short-sighted when proven winners are available. Lewis Hamilton's move to Ferrari was supposed to be the missing piece in the Scuderia's championship puzzle. Instead, it has highlighted just how deep Ferrari's problems run. Hamilton's growing wish list of desired changes reveals a team that has been struggling with the same fundamental issues for 2 decades. Hamilton described the SF25 as the most difficult car I've ever driven in wet conditions. This isn't just a 2025 problem. Ferrari has consistently struggled in changeable conditions, a weakness that has cost them numerous race wins and championships. The mysterious power steering issues affecting Ferrari at high-speed circuits like Silverstone and Suzuka represent a fundamental flaw in their car philosophy. When Charles Leclerc can't push to the limit in qualifying at tracks with fast corners, it exposes a critical weakness in Ferrari's engineering approach. Ferrari's strategy department continues to make baffling decisions that cost their drivers vital points. The communication breakdowns and tactical errors have become so routine that they're almost expected. The issues with race engineer communication, particularly around strategic decisions, have frustrated both Hamilton and Leclerc. Clear, decisive communication is fundamental to F1 success. Yet, Ferrari continues to struggle with this basic requirement. Hamilton's wish list is extensive and telling. A consistent balance throughout race weekends, a car that turns at low speed, a more stable car that inspires confidence, improved wet weather handling, better high-speed corner performance. But Hamilton's most revealing comment was his intention to sit down with the people that are designing the car for next year, because there's elements of this car that can go into the following year. This suggests Hamilton wants to fundamentally reshape Ferrari's approach, something that should have been done decades ago. Ferrari's problems aren't new. Since their last Constructors' Championship in 2008, they've consistently fallen short due to technical philosophy errors that create fundamental car weaknesses, strategic incompetence that wastes competitive opportunities, internal politics that prevent decisive action, lack of consistency in development direction. Hamilton's wish list represents more than just car improvements. It's a complete reimagining of how Ferrari should approach F1. The fact that a 7-time world champion feels the need to personally intervene in car design reveals just how far Ferrari has fallen from their championship-winning standards. The real question is, how long can Max maintain this silence? Sources suggest that his patience with Red Bull's chaos is wearing thin, and his growing interest in other racing opportunities indicates he's already exploring alternatives. This